Okay, welcome to GME. This is the combined lecture for March 17th, 2025. This is St. Patrick's Day, so happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. If you are a resident physician, remember to take the post quiz after the event. It'll be available tomorrow. I'll make it live tomorrow. You'll have more than 4 weeks to do it. If you're a program director, faculty member, something like that, remind your residents to take the post quizzes. They'll probably have a few that they're haven't done yet since they come so frequently, but they always have at least 4 weeks to do them. They have to get 80% right. They can take it as many times as they need to pass the quiz. Thank you so much. And I will let our speakers present them, introduce themselves, but today's topic is about safety and security in real life and in digital. Thanks. You're muted, Matt.
How's that? Is that better?
Much better. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, step one accomplished. Morning, afternoon. I'm Matt Murray. I'm the Director of Public Safety here at Hurley. I'm going to take a few minutes to talk to you guys about general safety. And I know in the past we've talked about active shooter specific type information. And while that is wildly important, there are some more basic level security and safety information that would serve you in an active shooter situation, in a code pink. I know we went over those, all of our emergency codes in the safety huddles last week. So, and towards the end of last week, I talked about being aware of your surroundings and being aware, being a good witness when you're calling for help, that kind of thing. So we're going to focus on that kind of information today. I'm gonna get you guys my screen here. Make sure you guys can see it. Cool. So, does anyone? It's my first time doing this virtually, so I'm normally in a classroom. So I'm gonna have to edit some of my presentational tendencies here, so I'm not going to ask a whole lot of participation questions, but generally, according to justice statistics, violent crime has decreased almost half from 1993 to 2017. If you walk around and talk to anybody, none of us feel like that. All of us feel, everyone who you talk to, it seems to be the impression that the world is only getting more violent, more dangerous. So why is that? Well, one of the things that we can attribute that feeling to is our media.
We are barraged with news and information and things.
At night is after seeing this.
Kidnapper, rapist, prowler, peeping Tom,
robbers, shot to death, shot and killed,
Gunned down,
Sexual misconduct,
police shooting, brazen attack,
permanent brain damage,
died instantly.
Epidemic,
satanic cult,
shot and killed,
bank robber,
attacked,
deadly crash,
and they opened fire.
massive crime scene,
Arrested. A statewide Amber Alert. Keep doors and windows locked.
vampires,
And it could be just as bad tomorrow.
It really amounts to a form.
And it could be just as bad tomorrow. That was one news outlet out in LA. And so multiply that by the hundreds or thousands that we have across the country here. So let me get you back to the other screen. Emotion is always going to trump data all the time. Studies say that 55% of us won't spend more than 15 seconds reading an article, or that's why headlines are so important, because everyone knows that humans are growing, or I guess the opposite of growing. Humans' attention spans due to technology and various inputs are shrinking. Median American checks their smartphones every 4.5 minutes. I'd say that that's generous. And another interesting stat, Facebook's own research shows that content that is hateful, divisive, polarizing, that's the greatest shared content. Misery loves company. So these are the types of things that gets shared. Just like, if you have a bad experience at a restaurant, we're more likely to tell one of our friends to not go there and why than having a good experience. And unfortunately, that's human nature. So we need to be aware, situational awareness, aware of our surroundings. What is that? That's the perception of our environment, my own perception of my environment around me, and how I am perceiving and comprehending all of the inputs that are happening in my environment. Our environments are made up of information that we collect from our 5 major information pathways: sight, sound, taste, smell, and touch. All of these experiences are wholly unique to the individual, right? Each one of these is going to a memory, a experience, a traumatic experience can be triggered by seeing something or smelling something. Additionally, so I used to be a firefighter. I am very, very, very in tune with what the difference in smell between a car fire or a house fire, a burned body, melting plastic. They all have different smells. That's part of my reality. That's part of my environment. And so I am able to use that information when I'm sitting in the movie theater and I smell something burning. Well, I'm going to be able to pull from my experience and how did I get it? Well, I got it through one of my information pathways. So these are going to act as triggers as we move through our life. We file things away in our brain. And a lot of the time, in order to access them subconsciously or consciously, it's done via one of these 5 methods. So our aware, again, that's a question I would ask the class, but our Cooper color codes of awareness, this is covered in ALICE, which is active shooter training. And there's basically 5 different awareness levels. White is you are unprepared. This looks like this. And if you guys can see me, put my camera down a little bit. Sitting on my phone, completely oblivious to what's going on around me. Yellow, you're relaxed, you're alert. People in yellow are aware of their environment. If someone walks in the room, your head comes up, you make eye contact, you address them. You are aware of people, you are aware of other exits. It's difficult to surprise someone who's in yellow. They're aware, they're alert. Orange, we've definitely perceived something is going on. We have a heightened level of awareness. This is where our fight or flight starts to kick in. Do you have a sense that something might or may not be going on, but you're not sure what it is, right? You heard a loud sound. Was that a firework or was that a gunshot? Was that a car backfiring? What was that? Your brain is in the process. Your evaluation of your immediate environment is going to depend on your training, your previous knowledge, everything. How have you heard gunshots before? Have you smelled that fire before? I know what it's like. I'm getting the heck out of here because I smell that. I know that that's gasoline, and there shouldn't be gasoline in a movie theater, for example, right? Red, the alarm has been triggered. The danger becomes real. Actions are dependent specifically on your training. You are not going to rise to the occasion. You are going to fall to the level of your training. Black is where we completely break down. This is where we freeze. We are unable to make decisions. This is when you see people get G-locked. This is when you see people freeze, okay? And what happens when you freeze is you get caught in this, what's called the OODA loop. OODA, O-O-D-A, observe, orient, decide, act. That's what your brain goes through 1,000,000 times a day for every decision that we make. You observe something going on, you orient yourself to the details, you decide on an action, and then you initiate that action. We get caught when we freeze. We have no training, no life experience, anything between the decide and the act. So we get caught, our little hourglass spins, and that's what happens when you freeze. So taking trainings like this and thinking about this stuff ahead of time will help you mitigate the chance of freezing. Go through these. So we need to be aware of our surroundings, doing a mental fire drill. That's not just, at school, when we do fire drills at school, right? When you're walking into Meijer for the first time, when you're walking into TJ Maxx, whatever, just look around, because at the end of the day, if something bad happens, you're going to want to get out of there. And naturally, your brain is going to go, well, I came in the front door, I want to leave through the front door. Well, what happens if the front door is where the bad event is going on? You don't want to freeze, because you're going to freeze because you haven't thought about anything ahead of time. So just take a swivel, look where exit signs are, stuff like that. Having a plan reduces your chance of freezing. Again, your body will not go where your mind has not been before. All right. So I'm kind of a weather dork. Anytime we go on vacation, the Weather Channel stays on. And Max Mayfield has been involved with the National Hurricane Center for decades and decades and decades. And he has this quote out there that it's just perfect. It's preparation through education is far less costly than learning from tragedy. And I cannot echo that anymore. So right here, unfortunately, we're going to learn from tragedy. So this is 2003. This is West Warwick, Rhode Island. This is Station Nightclub. This was grossly overpacked. There was a rock concert, and there was a fire, and over 100 people died. This is the actual drawing from the crime scene. I have added the things that will pop up on the screen, but this was an actual drawing from the police department. The fire started on both sides of the stage from the pyrotechnics. There was an fire exit here. 3 victims were found in the bathroom past the exit. There was a fire exit here. Over 30 were found hiding in offices, hiding in coolers. There was an exit here. Victims. This is the main exit. Victims. Main majority of the victims, or a third of the victims, were concentrated right at the main entrance. And that wasn't smoke inhalation or burn. I mean, it was some smoke inhalation or burn, but the majority of these injuries are blunt force trauma, crushing injuries from the bottleneck, getting trampled. And everyone's brain knew that they came in the front door. Well, oops, something happened. Now I have to leave. This is the only way that I remember to get out. So this is what I mean about talking to yourself ahead of time, taking a 2-second inventory of where another exit is. There was a videographer that night. He held this door open for people when he went out, and not a single person came out. So we have to learn these. I don't want any single one of these people to have died in vain. Have their memory help save and help educate moving forward. So what's in our security system and public safety culture here? Well, let's think of it as computers, right? Hardware and software. Our hardwares, those are our card readers, our panic alarms, weapons detection, the actual physical public safety, right? Cameras, HR and protective, all of our things that we need to keep this place safe, right? And our software is all the stuff that you load into it, all the education and training that goes on here with all of the medical center, internal policies, personal responsibility, see something, say something, behavior modification and routine alteration. All of that goes into security programming at the hospital. Sure, I have enough time, so I'm gonna load everything up here real quick. So proxemics and personal safety, they talk about this in CPI. We've talked about this in de-escalation. When you walk in, walk with a purpose, all right? Criminals, evildoers are no different than predators on the safari or on the Serengeti, right? They look for the easy target. If you are not paying attention because you're staring at your cell phone or whatever the case may be, you're an easy target. All right, keep your area clean and orderly, not just because it's professional, but because if you have to get out of an area in a very quick amount of time, you don't want to be trampling over all kinds of boxes and chairs and whatever the case may be in your work area. Transitional spaces. This is a high ambush spot for predators. Transitional spaces are wherever your attention is going to be diverted because another task is happening, right? So that's when you are walking through the threshold into another room, when you're leaving a building and going out into the outside, when you approach your car into and out of your vehicle, and at doorways or coming up to the front of your house, an ATM, anywhere where the task at hand is going to divert your attention from being aware. Those are called transitional spaces, and you should be have a heightened awareness in them. Contact and cover, reactionary gap, we won't get to right now in the sake of time. Anxiety and aggression indicators. These are all signs that someone is escalating, right? Or could be escalating. Repetitive motions, the drumming of the hands, the wringing of the hands, the punch in the fist, grandiose gestures, like everyone can see me. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I've been here for 10 days. Inability to sit still, tapping, very fidgeting, looking around. These are also called getaway behaviors, but they could be looking around to see if there's an escape route. So for our behavioral patients or our petition patients or whatever the case is, or they could be looking around to see if there's any witnesses, because what they're about to do, they don't want anyone to see, all right? Like hit you. So you see a lot of looking around from people. We call them getaway behaviors because normally they're looking to run. Or the wiping of the brow, wiping of the nose, wiping of the mouth. Those are signs of stress, but those are also a way for me as the bad guy, to get my hands up into my workspace without it being a threatening. I can do this, and now my hand's all the way already up here, instead of me having to bring. So those are all signs that there is a potential attack or potential escalation.
Strategies for everyone.
There we go. All right. These are all ways that people try to drop our trust or increase our trust and drop our guard. Okay. So too many details. We're talking to someone and they are just providing their life story. I'm sure we're all in healthcare. We've all interviewed a million people, and people add more details than necessary. Sometimes it's because they're just talkative, but a lot of the time, if I continue to offer details and details and details that you didn't ask me, there's a reason why I'm doing that. And a lot of the time it is to lull you into a sense of trust or lull you into a sense of security. Typecasting. This can go specifically towards male-female type relationships or intimate relationships with whatever gender. Typecasting is I ask Sally out on a date. Sally says no, and I say something to the effect of, "Yeah, never mind. You're a 10 and I'm a 6. What would a 10 want to do with a 6 anyway, right? Or you're so smart. Why would you hang out with a dumb guy like me?" That kind of thing. It's trying to gain sympathy, and then being able to play on that sympathy and grow that into a relationship that I can take advantage of. Charm and niceness, I would say undue charm and niceness. It's not a creepy or a crime to be nice to somebody, but if a stranger or if someone you're not necessarily close with is showering you with gifts or giving you doing all kinds of nice things, we have to question ourselves why are they doing that. Forced teaming looks like in school in grade school we would count off in gym class, and I could tell you, oh, count off by fours, and everyone in class starts going 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's going to be in my team? Oh, he's going to be a 3. He's going to be a 3, right? So forced teaming is in that situation, making sure, doing it ahead of time, making sure that I'm going to say 4 because Sally's a 4 and I want to be on her team. Or we're in a work group and I say, all right, Jim and Lisa, you work on that. Me and Sally, we're going to work on that. We make a really great team. We did that together, right? Team, us. The more I say that, the more it cements that I'm part of the team. You can trust me. All right. Discounting the word no means no every time you hear it. Okay. Unsolicited promises and gifts, that goes along with charm and niceness. And then loan sharking is the last one. Loan sharking looks like, hey, I did something nice for you last week. Now you got to do something nice for me. So we have to be careful about accepting gifts from outside vendors, from families, this, that, and the other thing, because you never know when someone's coming back to, that wasn't really a gift, that was to get their foot in the door. Pre-incident indicators. We see these a lot of the time when an investigation has happened after a workplace violence incident. Coworker fear. Coworkers have been talking about this specific individual, right? This isn't the first time their name has come up. They, that guy is really weird, or he said something, or, there's scuttlebutt around. Okay. Police encounters tend to elevate as people get towards their move along the intended path to violence. A crusade. Hurley Medical Center has wronged me. It doesn't matter. I have zero culpability in this. It's Hurley's fault or it's my manager's fault, and I'm going to make sure they pay. That's my crusade. Paranoia goes along with crusades too, along with the blame. Weapons. Maybe I'm on Facebook posting all kinds of guns. Maybe my coworkers see me looking up the Columbine shooting or the Pulse nightclub or that kind of stuff. Focus on other employees. Sally's the one who got me in trouble. My manager's the one who screwed me over. None of this is my fault. That goes along with the grievance fixation as well. Targeted travel. Targeted travel looks like there's an excellent example from one of my colleagues at another institution. There is a patient shows up at the main entrance with flowers and a book for a physician. Entrance services talks with them and says, no, I'm sorry, if you don't have an appointment, you're going to have to, make an appointment. We can't just have you go meet this physician. And they tell him, you're going to have to be a patient. What did the guy do? The guy walked out, got into his car, drove his car as fast as he could, crashed into a crash, and just so that he could be brought back to the emergency department to be made a patient. And this was specifically trying to target this doctor of a fixation stalking type situation. And then final act language, we want to in resignation letters or in threatening letters or in statements that we hear from people. I have nothing to lose. I don't care if I go to jail. This is my last testament, stuff like that. We want to be very aware of that kind of thing. Last one here. If and when something goes bad, I don't care if it's at work, at home, at church, wherever you are, awareness is key, and you have to be a good witness and help people get there as fast as possible. So the most important things you need to know are, where are you? In the building here at Hurley, but then also in your city or in your mall or wherever you're at, know where you are, because help can't get to you if you don't know where you are. All right. Where is the problem? What is the problem? Is it a medical? Is it a man with a gun? Is it a stolen baby? What is going on? And what does the man with the gun look like? What are they wearing? Is it I don't care if it's a Glock or a Smith & Wesson or an Uzi or whatever, but if you can tell us that they have a big long gun or they have a small pistol, that's incredible information. Okay. Where were they walking? What happened? Let's say you watch someone steal someone's purse in the parking lot of the mall. Well, which way did they run? That's all critical information to get us to you as fast as possible. That's all I've got. So that's about an hour class that we condensed into about 25 minutes. So there's a lot more information. And this supplements some new active shooter material. This is the active shooter class is about 2.5 hours long. And this portion of it gets taught in conjunction with it. So I will be happy to take any questions. I know we're kind of pressed on time. So if you want to email or reach out or whatever, please do not ever hesitate to reach out to me. And if you are ever out in your work area, don't ever hesitate to reach out to public safety. I would so much rather have you call us because you think something isn't right, have us check it out and have it be nothing, than have you kicking yourself in the tail because something happened and you realize that you probably should have said something and you realized it beforehand. So if anyone has any questions, please let me know. And thank you very much for letting me take the time to talk to you guys.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions for Matt? And as he mentioned, you can enter them in the chat, you can email them, and we'll get answers out to everybody as an FAQ. Matt, if 911 services for everybody, if you're just out and about, does that work even from your cell phone?
It sure does. Yep. Even if you call 911 from your cell phone inside of the hospital, you're going to get Genesee County 911. They bounce off the cell towers and it just goes to the nearest 911. And
then they would still probably ask you for your location, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They won't be able to tell your location that quick. It is possible to get your location, but that takes time. And sometimes that's not a resource that you have. Okay.
Super. Well, thank you so much. This is great. We really appreciate that. And now we will welcome Ron Adams. And Ron, we'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
All right. Awesome. My name is Ronald Adams. I'm the Director of IT Security here at Hurley Medical Center. I would like to thank you all for allowing me to talk to you about cybersecurity today. So getting right into it, so what is cyber? So cyber is defined as anything that contains, is connected, or controlled by a computer or a computer network. So it's a computer, a server, it's on the network, it's defined as cyber. And cybersecurity is, as you can probably predict, it's the practice of protecting confidentiality, integrity, and availability when it comes to those computers, and or computer networks. An example of cybersecurity incidents are, stolen usernames and passwords, which impact confidentiality, unauthorized change of patient information in a chart, which would impact integrity, or power loss, which would impact availability. So social engineering is a big challenge within cybersecurity. Social engineering is the practice of obtaining confidential information by manipulation, or it can be in the case of getting someone to do something or disclose information that they wouldn't have under normal circumstances or with the right situational awareness. types of information that cyber criminals are seeking can vary, but a lot of times it's usernames and passwords. From a personal perspective, it could be banking information. From a business perspective, it could be trying to get you to go to a website and download software or something along those lines. Social engineering can take on many forms and often come in the way of email, which is also known as phishing, which is social engineering through email. Attackers sometimes send email messages trying to build a rapport. They might communicate some urgency. A variety of different tactics that can happen with social engineering through email. 9 out of 10 cyber attacks typically have some form of phishing involved. Very, very common tactic. Some general advice when it comes to phishing: really get into the practice of don't click on any links. This advice goes to personal emails as well. If you got an email that said you need to go to the GME site for a bulletin information or for training or something along those lines, get in the habit of just learning how to manually go to that particular website. Same thing with Amazon, right? If you shop with Amazon, you definitely manually probably know how to open up the Amazon app on your phone or go to Amazon through your browser. You don't necessarily have to click on any link to get to Amazon. Like if you just get into the habit of not clicking any links, it'll be very hard for you to fall victim to phishing. Here at Hurley, we have a couple of different ways you can report phishing. One, you can use the fish hook. So if you do receive access to Gmail through Hurley, you'll see this little orange hook, which you can, if you feel a email is suspect, you can click the orange hook and report the email. You can also report spam, and you can forward emails to phishing@hurleymc.com. We have a team of security analysts that look for those reports, and they do various investigations. Keep in mind, there's spam and phishing. Spam is junk mail, basically, for the lack of a better wording, just basically junk mail through email. It's rarely malicious. It's normally just annoying. Where phishing is an attacker trying to accomplish some objective, which has much more malicious intent. These are some examples of phishing emails. Amazon, Netflix, UPS, Bank of America. Attackers can take the time to understand and learn how we communicate here at Hurley. So you could have a phishing email that mimics previous communications by maybe a business colleague or an administrator. Just keep in mind, don't ever give away your username and password. It's never valid for anyone to ask for your username and password. And then also be very skeptical of links when it comes to links being emails. Phishing also happens over the telephone, which is called phishing. Basically, phishing is the same concept, same tactics, but just calling up people directly. Caller ID can be spoofed, meaning attackers can make the calling number appear to be relatively any number. So you really don't want to trust or overly trust caller ID information. Like I noted, no one here at Hurley is ever authorized to ask you for your username and password. That should be a major red flag if they do so. And if you get a suspicious call, ask them for a callback number. If it's an internal number at Hurley, give them a call back. If not, you can call our service center or reach out to me directly to report an issue. In regards to phishing, if you guys get copies of this slide, check out this YouTube video. I won't play it for you for the sake of time, but it's when it comes to phishing, this is a big business. We're talking when it comes to attacking people through social engineering, it's a multi-billion-dollar business. There's big call centers that are set up, and the cyber criminals run these call centers like any other legitimate business, making high volume of calls, following a script, trying to meet their objectives. Normally, it's to solicit information, which banking information is, or credit card information is highly sought after. So some tips for protecting your account: don't reuse passwords. When it comes to your work login, your Netflix login, your bank login, not a good idea to use the same password for each of those logins. You should. It's highly recommended that you use individual passwords for the various logins that you have. Using a password manager nowadays is really common and helpful to manage the different types of logins that you might have. Longer passwords, the better. It's really a math problem. It's harder for bad guys to guess your password if it's longer. Just takes them more time. Anything that makes an attacker take more time greatly reduces the probability they'll accomplish their objectives. Attackers are limited by time, just as we are. Password themes are a very good idea. So a tip would be to pick a theme that resonates with you, not something that you kind of talk about on social media all the time or anything along those lines, but something that's meaningful to you. If I like to vacation, something like Palm Tree Beach with a number, encapsulate it with special characters is very, very strong. Ideally, the longer the better. Passphrases are better than passwords. So, it's if you have questions, or if you would like further guidance on choosing strong passwords that are easy to remember, definitely reach out and I can share with you some further resources. But phrases are much easier to remember. That's just how our brain works. And if you can relate it to something that you already have an interest in, it's just easier for you to make those connections from a memory perspective. So additional tips for protecting your account: use two-factor authentication. And like I said, these tips go for things you do at Hurley and things in your personal life. So you definitely should enable two-factor authentication on your bank accounts, on your socials, on basically anything that's important to you that you log into. You should check the security settings to ensure two-factor authentication is enabled. Normally, at the very least, there would be some two-factor through text or SMS or through email or some other means. Very uncommon not to have that option on pretty much anything you will log into. Here at Hurley, we use Duo, and basically we follow the guideline of something which is your password, and something you have, which is your mobile device. But especially on your personal account, you can use biometrics as two-factor as well. There's something you are, something you know. As long as it's just two things, it's considered a two-factor and/or multi-factor authentication. Some other additional tips for protecting your account. This is a great resource called Have I Been Pwned? What you can do is enter an email address. You can enter a phone number, and this project gives you information on whether or not that information was a part of a data breach. There's data breaches happening all the time through various different companies. If you're ever curious, I said you get copies to these slides. Check out Have I Been Pwned? It's a very good resource to let you know if your information was caught up in a data breach. And this is an example where you can put in an email, and then it would list breaches that your information is associated to. Sometimes it might be associated to direct, people you might do business with, like Home Depot. Our information, unfortunately, is sold all the time in legal ways. So a lot of times your information was compromised through a data broker. which is this third party that your information was shared with. It's kind of the nature of doing business on the internet nowadays, which has kind of caused that problem. So some privacy tips for your personal accounts. Highly recommended that you guys don't get into the habit or get out of the habit of sharing your location. Disable location services and apps and mobile devices will reduce how you're being tracked. Typically, with any type of login, like say, for example, your email account, there within the settings under security, there's options to review historical logins. So you can proactively look at those logins to see if there's anything weird. You can also set up email alerts. So when you get a new login from a new device, you can get an email alert sent to you that makes you aware. So you can set that up on your socials. You can set that up through your banking institution as well, where if there was any new activity, you would get an email notification, which is good to know. It's also recommended that you restrict who can see your information, especially from a social networking perspective. It's generally recommended to undershare versus overshare information. You'll get a lot of prompts to complete your profile and provide information. Basically, the more information you put out there online, the higher the probability that information will be learned about and then used against you. So some general tips for protecting your devices. So whether this is a mobile, a cell phone or a laptop or a desktop, whether you're running Windows or Mac, you really want to update your devices regularly. Supported devices frequently get security patches from the vendors. Also, it's very beneficial to run anti-malware, also known as antivirus programs on your computer. Yes, even Apple and Mac computers, as Macs and Apple devices become more popular, bad guys are taking the time to write malicious software for those devices. So definitely take that in consideration. Some additional tips for protecting mobile devices is to review the permissions, especially on your mobile devices. Some apps can have access to your microphone, your camera, locations, contacts, etc. And that might be the intent or the purpose that might be known to you. Most devices nowadays they make it kind of noisy when an app asks for those permissions. But if you're using an app that is a calculator or something along those lines, maybe a calculator is a bad example, but if you're using an app that isn't designed to provide you navigation, right? Like, don't give it access to your location services. If you're never going to take a picture with it, don't give it access to your camera, right? So just kind of use some logical, use some logic there in regards to what permissions you give to apps. Also, same advice kind of goes to browser add-ons, toolbars, plugins, extensions. You definitely want to be very careful when it comes to the things you add to your browser. It could definitely be malicious. Also, there's the same permissions advice is recommended as for mobile apps in that respects. Here is an example of this version of Facebook, all the things that it wants to have access to. It's one thing to know this and you make an educated decision on what you have access to, but just be mindful on what the app is and what is it asking to access. Some tips for protecting your credit cards. Bad guys, most cyber criminals are in it to make money. It's a career for them. Like I said, this is a $1 billion business. And going after credit card information is pretty lucrative. One way you can help combat that is to use PayPal and other types of mobile payments. So pay with Google, pay with Apple, basically make virtual credit cards. And when you go to make a transaction, that virtual credit card information is shared with the credit card reader or the merchant. If a bad guy is stealing information from those devices, they're never actually getting your physical card details. If there was a issue, it's much easier to create another virtual credit card versus swapping out credit card physical credit cards. So a couple of different options there. Some additional tips: be very careful with public networks. You really don't want to do sensitive business on an open / public network. It's always considered increased security to use dedicated mobile data or trusted Wi-Fi. Also look especially for websites, to verify if it's an HTTPS connection. You don't want to send banking details or credit card details over plain text over the internet. So in your web browser, in the address bar in the top left, you'll see HTTPS or HTTP. Normally, browsers are pretty noisy. I'm pretty sure you guys see browsers state that your connection isn't private, or the connection isn't secure. That's normally what your web browser is communicating. Some general tips for protecting your data related to data loss. Your computer can get damaged by water, physical damage, or have some sort of software corruption. You really want to back up your data. So here at Hurley, we use Google Drive. So you get access to Google, copying your information to Google Drive. If not, you can use OneDrive. You can use external hard drives, flash drives. But you definitely want to have, for important things, you want to make multiple copies of that and store that in safe locations when it comes to backing up your information. Flash drives are common. To protect data that's on a flash drive at Hurley, we require that BitLocker encryption is used. We're unable to remove viruses from a encrypted flash drive, but we aggressively monitor flash drives. We also have, if you're using a Hurley owned device, you have to have a certain policy to even access a flash drive. So keep that in mind. You don't want to take your personal flash drives and plug them into Hurley computers. We will scan those computers for malware. If it kicks off a security alert, we'll have to isolate the computer and kind of go through this investigative process. We normally see about a half a dozen different viruses that try to get in here through USBs, people plugging in USB drives. Like I said, we're very, very aggressive with blocking flash drives and other mass storage because of that situation. There's a form that you can fill out for exceptions to or exemptions to the USB drive policy. And if you work through Julia, we can Julie, we can get you what you need. Here at Hurley, we have a Google site where we talk about common tips for personal and work-related cybersecurity. So feel free to check it out, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I can have some conversations with you. I'm going to wrap. If you guys have any questions, like I said, definitely let me know. And if you need anything from IT, IT is always here to help you guys out and ensure that you guys are safe.
Super. Thank you so much, Ron. For the form that you have there, that link to, they will have a copy of this presentation so that they'll be able to find it. But is that also available from the intranet if you went on the IT services button?
I don't know if that form will be available for the intranet. I can look to maybe get this posted there. I don't know if we've historically published it there.
And
It's
what's
just
the, yeah,
it's
go
just
ahead.
a
I'm
Google form, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
And does it have a special name if we were to search that?
Actually,
Oh, that's okay.
I will chat you directly that
Okay.
form. So I thought this was something that you operationally used all the time. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And then just for people, for awareness purposes, when you are going to a conference and you have to take your research presentation or something like that, that you created on a Hurley device, and now you need to get it on a thumb drive to take it with you to someplace else, we have you contact IT to get an encrypted device or to encrypt your device. It's changed over the years. So I think Hurley now has to provide the device, right? They can't just bring one from home and Hurley will encrypt it.
Yeah. So as far as for flash drives, if it's an approved business use case, we will provide a flash drive and kind of issue you the device. We'll ensure that it's encrypted and such. That makes sense?
Yeah, thanks. And then there's in the internal medicine conference room, Bachelor Room 103 in the Education Center, and a few other locations across the Hurley, there's a computer in there that is security has allowed thumb drives to go in. So you can log into Google, transfer your files to the thumb drive in that way. Otherwise, a regular computer here, it won't accept your thumb drive. It'll be blocked. So,
Yes. Yep.
that's thumb drive kiosk. And I'm not sure if one ever got into the House Staff Association at the time that Hurley was installing those. House Staff Association owns their own, lounge in that space. So we were waiting for the okay, and I don't think we ever got the okay. But tell me if I'm wrong, residents on here. Do you have one in the main lounge on the one west? I think it was going to be in the secondary room.
And Julie, if there's a need there, if you can shoot me details, or we can take it as a follow-up conversation, we can get you guys what you need if there's an additional device needed.
Okay. Thank you. We'll see if they need it, or maybe they're all. I know there's other areas where these devices are. I should find out. I'll follow up with you later because I feel like we need to let everybody know. We have so many new people every year. Thumb drive kiosks. I'll ask you where those are.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I can talk to my staff. I know I don't have the inventory exactly where they're at offhand, but we can dig that up. And if we need to make adjustments there, no worries.
Thanks.
And then for the question in the chat, you noted, is Windows Defender good enough, or do you need third-party software for non-Hurley computers that are running Windows? Windows Defender is actually very good security software. I would recommend you turn on all the features. It has a lot of advanced features that you get for free through Microsoft. Also, it has ransomware protection. So, if you use all the settings for Windows Defender, if you turn on all the features, it's actually really good security software.
Good. All right. And this also is a virus protector. All right, you're muted again, or maybe I'm frozen.
I muted. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yes, Windows Defender will cover antivirus. It will cover all the bad stuff that would try and get into your computer. It's just you want to have it up to date, and especially with modern or newer computers like Windows 10, Windows 11, you want to ensure that all the settings are turned on for it. But yeah, it's good stuff.
Super, thank you. And then my last question for you, but others might have more. So stop me, anybody else butt in here. How often do we get serious threats to any of our systems at Hurley?
That's a good question. So there, when it comes to threats, a lot of threat actors are opportunists. They keep an eye on like vulnerable software that businesses use. And when there is a vulnerability that's released, there's this race on if businesses can fix it first before bad guys take advantage of it. in a lot of cases, or in some cases, we will get targeted specifically by threat actors who take some time to do some research, do some homework, and craft attacks. As far as for like the combination of those type of attacks, we are attacked all the time in various different ways. We see hundreds of, if not thousands of different types of attacks a month. It could be something trying to get past our firewall, like through our epic that we host to the internet. It can be attacks that come in through emails. It can be inadvertent attacks because there was a virus on a flash drive and someone plugged it in. So we get attacked constantly in some way or form. We do have a 24/7 security operations center where we monitor the various alerts and we respond to incidents 24/7. That's a combination of Hurley staff that works here locally and then also some partners that work remotely, if that makes sense.
Super. Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions or comments for Ron?
And then there's one last little bit of information to share. I talked about phishing a lot in this presentation because phishing is such a problematic issue. If you receive a Hurley account, like a Hurley Gmail account, we continuously do phishing simulations and we provide feedback loops and such. But this is some recent numbers of our phishing simulations, and we have some peaks and valleys given that new people come on, they have to get trained up around the phishing threat. This dotted line here at the top is for healthcare in general, peer organizations basically. As you can see, like compared to our peers, Hurley takes this type of thing pretty seriously. We had a bit of a spike a few months back, which we had to kind of get squared away, but we try and make it as tough as possible on bad guys. And so these are just simulations, like I said, but we receive thousands of phishing emails as an organization that are the genuine thing. So we typically have to be pretty aggressive when it comes to training for phishing. So
thank you so much. Hey, it looked like when you hovered over those graphs, it said all users. I think a long time ago when you guys first started using this software, we could get a resident-specific group.
Yes.
Is that still possible sometime?
Yep, I can get you a report on that, and I'll shoot that over to you as a follow-up.
Just out of curiosity, I think most of our residents are up on it, but they might not be because they're as you know, those spammers and phishers, they use really scary language, like we're going to deport you unless you do something.
And that's a good point. It's a telltale sign when it comes to people who use scams, and this regardless if they're in person, if they're doing it over email or phone, they're going to use urgent, intimidating language. They're going to try and use scarcity. You got to act fast, right? Otherwise, you're going to miss an opportunity. Like you said, can be very intimidating to talk about. You're going to get deported, or this is the FBI and you broke a law and you have to help us out with an investigation. There's a variety of different tactics that bad guys will use, but whenever there's intimidating, scary language, you definitely want to treat that as a red flag. And I have not been the subject of investigations from the IRS or FBI, etc., but they don't call you up and send you emails as a part of their investigation. They normally show up showing credentials, etc., etc. So bad guys know, like they're very smart people. They take the time to understand how we think, how people think, how we tick, right? And we're more similar than we are different, right? The same things that might get a fearful reaction out of me are probably going to be similar things that would get a fearful reaction out of you. It's just it's very hard, right? So that's why bad guys continuously use those tactics. So we just got to do our best through situational awareness.
Yeah, thank you so much, and for the reminders of the types of things. So Ron mentioned a couple that we have heard here at Hurley before. People have received IRS. We've had people pretending to be somebody who has the power to deport somebody. IRS scams are really common. We've had people lose money where they say, you owe us this amount, you have to pay by this deadline. So if anybody's asking for money, just don't do it. Just talk to Ron or talk to IT first if you need to. We're at home. Don't respond at home either. Talk to
And you, even if you have a personal situation, you could definitely reach out. The FBI scams are pretty common because you can like look up FBI, like bad guys, FBI agents, like their information is sometimes public, right? And so bad guys will take the time to look up an FBI agent that has his information, his or her information public, and then they'll impersonate that person and they'll send you an email or give you a phone call saying, you know, I'm Agent Alvarez, I'm doing this investigation, you are a suspect. And when even if you have the moxie or the situational awareness to go look up to see if there's a, you know, you Google search FBI, you know, John Alvarez, you'll see that that is an FBI agent, but it's not the actual agent. And especially like the end goal is to achieve money in a lot of situations, achieve username and password, achieve installing some sort of software, right? FBI doesn't want you to give them gift cards so they won't investigate you or anything along those lines, right? So as soon as things start getting weird and abnormal, that's typically because it's a scam. Same thing with people trying to impersonate the IRS or any other, you know, organization.
Super. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who's online. And if you have any questions after this, feel free to email us and we will forward the questions to either Ron Adams or Matt Murray. You can use my email if you want, juliecamp@hurleymc.com. You can use hurleygme@hurleymc.com. It might be easier to remember. Thanks a bunch. Don't forget to do the post quiz, which will be available tomorrow. And thanks again for your time, Ron. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure. You guys have a great one.
Thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.